There comes a moment in life when you have to ask yourself a simple but profound question. Why am I chasing what isn't meant for me? We've all been there, pouring our hearts, energy, and time into people, opportunities, or dreams that don't see our worth, holding on, hoping that someday they'll recognize what we bring to the table. But here's the truth. Your worth is not determined by what you pursue. It's determined by what you choose to allow into your life. Walking away is one of the hardest decisions we ever face. It challenges everything inside us, the fear of the unknown, the hope that things might change, and the comfort of what's familiar, even when it hurts. Yet walking away is often the most courageous act we can perform. It's not about giving up, it's about choosing to honor ourselves enough to leave what no longer serves us. Many of us stay in situations or relationships long past their expiration dates. We hold on because we think leaving means we failed, or because we're afraid of the emptiness that might follow. But there is a quiet strength in choosing to walk away. It's a declaration to the world and, more importantly, to ourselves that we are worthy of more. We deserve respect, fulfillment, and joy. And sometimes the only way to find those things is to let go of what's holding us back. Walking away requires us to confront our deepest fears. What if this is the best it gets? What if we never find something better? These thoughts are natural, but they're also the chains that keep us stuck. The truth is, when we hold on out of fear, we settle. We accept less than we deserve because we're afraid of stepping into the unknown. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. It's trusting that even if we don't know what's next, we have the strength and resilience to face it. When we walk away from something that doesn't serve us, we reclaim our power. We send a message that our worth isn't dependent on someone else's validation or an external situation. Our worth is inherent, and we refuse to let it be diminished by staying where we aren't valued or respected. This act of walking away becomes a radical form of self-love. It's a decision to prioritize our own well-being over the comfort of familiarity or the illusion of security. The process is rarely easy. It involves moments of doubt, late nights questioning whether we made the right choice, and the ache of missing what we left behind. But with time, we start to see the wisdom in our decision. We begin to understand that every step away from what's wrong is a step toward what's right. We realize that by letting go, we open space for better things to come into our lives, things that align with our values, nurture our spirit, and help us grow. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It's a testament to our strength. It's an act of faith in ourselves, in our worth, and in the possibilities that lie ahead. It requires us to trust that we're capable of creating a life that reflects our true value, even if the path is uncertain. And when we finally muster that courage, we don't just leave something behind, we step into a new version of ourselves, stronger, wiser, and more aligned with our true purpose. When faced with the choice to stay or walk away, remember this: staying in what diminishes you is far more dangerous than facing the unknown. True courage is found in the decision to honor yourself, even when it means letting go. Self-worth is more than just a concept. It's a guiding force that shapes the trajectory of our lives. When we truly understand our value, it becomes a compass, directing every choice we make, every relationship we enter, and every opportunity we pursue. Yet so many of us navigate life without fully tapping into this internal guide. We look outward, seeking validation from others or measuring our worth by external achievements, never realizing that the real power lies within us. Our self-worth isn't something that fluctuates based on someone else's perception. It's not determined by our success, our mistakes, or the approval we receive. It's inherent. It exists simply because we exist. But in a world that constantly tells us we need to prove ourselves to be smarter, more attractive, more accomplished, it's easy to lose sight of that. We start to believe that we need to earn our worth, that we're only as valuable as what we can offer others. This belief can lead us down a path of constant striving and endless self-doubt, where we make decisions based on fear and inadequacy rather than confidence and clarity. When self-worth becomes our compass, everything changes. We no longer settle for less than we deserve. We stop seeking validation from people who don't see our value, and we start setting boundaries that protect our peace. We begin to make choices that align with our true selves, rather than trying to fit into someone else's expectations. This shift doesn't mean we become arrogant or self-centered. It means we recognize that our value is non-negotiable. We no longer allow ourselves to be diminished by situations or relationships that don't honor us. One of the most profound impacts of using self-worth as a guide is how it transforms our relationships. When we value ourselves, we attract people who value us too. We stop chasing after love, respect, or attention from those who are unwilling or unable to give it. Instead, we cultivate connections based on mutual respect and shared values. We understand that we are not defined by whether someone chooses us. We choose ourselves first, and that choice sets the standard for how others treat us. This internal compass also helps us navigate challenges and setbacks. When our sense of worth is rooted in who we are rather than what we achieve, failure doesn't break us. We see it as a part of the journey, not a reflection of our value. We become more resilient, more compassionate with ourselves, and more willing to take risks, because we know that no matter what happens, our worth remains intact. Living from a place of self-worth doesn't mean we'll never face doubt or insecurity. Those feelings are a part of being human. But when self-worth is our compass, we don't get lost in them. We recognize them, but we don't let them define us. We come back to that inner knowing, the truth that we are enough just as we are. Using self-worth as a guide is about more than just making better choices. It's about creating a life that reflects our true value, a life where we honor ourselves, pursue what aligns with our hearts, and refuse to settle for anything less than what we deserve. Seeking validation is a natural human tendency. We all want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. It's part of our social fabric, a way to feel connected and valued. However, when we become dependent on external validation, it becomes a trap, one that quietly erodes our sense of self-worth and keeps us stuck in cycles of insecurity and self-doubt. We start to measure our value based on how others perceive us, constantly chasing approval and fearing rejection. This external focus disconnects us from our true selves, making us vulnerable to the shifting opinions of others. The trap of seeking validation often begins early in life. We learn to associate praise and acceptance with our worth. A good grade, a compliment, or a pat on the back becomes a measure of our value. Over time, this conditioning deepens, and we start to believe that our worth is something that must be earned. We look to others, friends, family, colleagues, social media followers to affirm that we are enough. But the problem with this approach is that external validation is fleeting. It's unreliable. People's opinions change, and what they value one day may be different the next. Basing our self-worth on such an unstable foundation leaves us feeling anxious and unfulfilled. When we constantly seek validation from others, we give away our power. We allow external forces to dictate how we feel about ourselves. If someone approves of us, we feel good. If they don't, we question our worth. This dependence creates a roller coaster of emotions, where our sense of self rises and falls based on the feedback we receive. It's exhausting and unsustainable. More importantly, it keeps us from living authentically. We start to mold ourselves into what we think others want us to be, rather than embracing who we truly are. We suppress our true desires, opinions, and even our personality to fit into someone else's idea of success or worthiness. The pursuit of validation can also lead us to make choices that don't align with our values or goals. We may stay in unhealthy relationships because we fear being alone and unloved. We might take on projects or responsibilities that drain us because we want to be seen as capable or hardworking. In doing so, we betray ourselves, prioritizing external approval over our own well-being and integrity. Breaking free from the trap of seeking validation requires a shift in focus. It means turning inward and reconnecting with our own sense of worth. Instead of looking to others for approval, we need to cultivate self-validation. This involves recognizing our inherent value and trusting ourselves. It means celebrating our strengths, acknowledging our growth, and accepting our imperfections. When we validate ourselves, we become less dependent on the opinions of others. Their approval becomes a bonus, not a necessity. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of unlearning old patterns and building new ones. It involves setting boundaries, practicing self-compassion, and reminding ourselves that our worth is not up for debate. The more we practice self-validation, the stronger our sense of self becomes. We start to make choices that align with our values, and we live with a sense of freedom and authenticity. In the end, the only validation that truly matters is the one we give ourselves. Reclaiming your energy is an act of self-preservation and empowerment. In a world where demands constantly pull us in multiple directions, our energy often gets scattered, leaving us feeling drained and unfulfilled. We invest our time, attention, and emotions into people, situations, and commitments that may not always serve us. Without realizing it, we deplete our most valuable resource, our vitality, on things that offer little return or even harm us. Reclaiming your energy means becoming intentional about where and how you invest it, ensuring that it aligns with your values, priorities, and well-being. Many of us give away our energy without thinking twice. We pour ourselves into relationships that leave us emotionally exhausted, or continue engaging in work that no longer inspires us. We say yes to commitments out of obligation or fear of disappointing others, spreading ourselves too thin. Every time we engage in these patterns, we leak energy. These small drains add up, creating a sense of chronic fatigue and disconnection from our true selves. To reclaim our energy, we must first recognize where it's being lost and why. This awareness is the first step toward change. One of the most common ways we lose energy is through overextension and lack of boundaries. When we say yes to everything and everyone, we dilute our focus and deplete our reserves. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out, it's about protecting our inner resources. It's a declaration that our time and well-being matter. Establishing clear limits allows us to conserve energy for what truly matters and creates space for rest and renewal. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Emotional energy is just as important as physical energy. Engaging in toxic relationships, holding on to resentment, or constantly seeking approval from others are significant drains. These emotional entanglements weigh us down, leaving us feeling stuck and powerless. Reclaiming our energy involves letting go of what we cannot control and releasing attachments that no longer serve us. Forgiveness, whether of others or ourselves, can be a powerful way to free up emotional space. It's not about condoning harmful behavior, but about freeing ourselves from the burden of carrying it. Our mental energy also requires care and attention. Negative self-talk, overthinking, and dwelling on past mistakes consume immense amounts of mental bandwidth. Practicing mindfulness and focusing on the present moment can help us redirect our thoughts and conserve mental energy. It's about becoming aware of the narratives we tell ourselves and choosing ones that empower rather than deplete us. Positive affirmations, meditation, and deep breathing exercises can be tools for reclaiming mental clarity. Reclaiming your energy also means prioritizing activities that nourish and rejuvenate you. This might involve reconnecting with hobbies, spending time in nature, or engaging in creative pursuits. It's about recognizing that rest and joy are not luxuries, they're essential. When you engage in activities that light you up, you replenish your energy reserves and build resilience. Reclaiming your energy is about taking responsibility for your well-being. It's a conscious decision to stop giving your power away to external forces and start investing in yourself. By doing so, you create a life that feels more balanced, authentic, and fulfilling. You become more present, more focused, and better equipped to pursue your goals and dreams. Reclaiming your energy isn't just about feeling less tired. It's about living with intention and purpose, fully aligned with your true self. Boundaries are often misunderstood as walls that keep others out, but in reality, they are profound acts of love both for ourselves and for those around us. Setting boundaries is about creating clear, respectful limits that protect our well-being, honor our values, and foster healthier relationships. It's a practice rooted in self-respect and compassion, allowing us to navigate life with authenticity and integrity. Far from being selfish or harsh, boundaries are essential for maintaining balance, reducing resentment, and nurturing deeper connections. Many of us struggle with setting boundaries because we fear rejection or conflict. We worry that saying no will make us appear uncaring or that standing up for our needs will push others away. But the truth is, healthy boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about letting the right people in, under the right conditions. They help us communicate our needs and expectations clearly, reducing misunderstandings and fostering mutual respect. When we set boundaries, we teach others how to treat us and we show them that we value ourselves. Without boundaries, we often overextend ourselves, sacrificing our time, energy, and mental health to please others or meet their demands. This leads to burnout, frustration, and resentment. We may find ourselves saying yes when we want to say no, taking on responsibilities that aren't ours or tolerating behavior that undermines our self-worth. These patterns not only harm us, but also strain our relationships. When we give more than we can afford to, we build hidden resentments that can erupt over time, damaging the very connections we're trying to protect. Establishing boundaries requires us to tune into our own needs and values. It means recognizing what we're comfortable with and what we're not, and then communicating those limits clearly and consistently. This might involve saying no to additional commitments, setting limits on how much time we spend with certain people, or refusing to engage in conversations that drain us. It's not about controlling others, it's about controlling what we allow into our lives. By doing so, we create a space where we can thrive, emotionally and mentally. Boundaries are also acts of love because they foster healthier, more authentic relationships. When we set clear limits, we create a foundation of trust and respect. Others know where they stand with us, and we know where we stand with them. This clarity reduces the potential for conflict and misunderstanding. It also allows us to engage with others from a place of genuine care, rather than obligation or resentment. Relationships built on healthy boundaries are more balanced, with each person's needs and feelings respected. Setting boundaries can be uncomfortable, especially if we're used to prioritizing others over ourselves. It requires practice, patience, and sometimes difficult conversations. But each time we assert our limits, we reinforce our self-worth. We remind ourselves that our needs matter and that we deserve to be treated with respect. Over time, this practice becomes a powerful form of self-care, helping us build resilience and a deeper sense of inner peace. Boundaries are one of the most loving things we can offer ourselves and others. They allow us to show up fully, without resentment or exhaustion. They help us cultivate relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and authenticity. By setting boundaries, we're not pushing people away, we're creating the conditions for true connection and lasting well-being. Choosing yourself first is one of the most transformative decisions you can make, yet it's often the hardest. Many of us are conditioned to believe that prioritizing ourselves is selfish or inconsiderate. We're taught to put others' needs ahead of our own, to sacrifice our well-being for the sake of pleasing others or meeting societal expectations. But choosing yourself first is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-respect. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup, and that the best way to show up for others is to show up for yourself first. When you choose yourself, you set a powerful precedent for how you want to be treated. You communicate to the world and to yourself that your needs, desires, and boundaries matter. This doesn't mean disregarding others or becoming self-centered. It means creating a life where your well-being is a priority, not an afterthought. By taking care of yourself, you cultivate the energy and clarity needed to engage with the world from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Many people fear that choosing themselves will lead to isolation or rejection. They worry that others will see them as arrogant or uncaring. However, the opposite is often true. When you honor your needs, you attract people and opportunities that align with your true self. You create space for healthier, more authentic relationships, connections based on mutual respect and genuine understanding. People who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries and appreciate your commitment to self-care. Choosing yourself first also means trusting your intuition and making decisions that align with your values. It's about listening to that inner voice, the one that knows what you need, even when it's difficult. This might mean walking away from a toxic relationship, saying no to an opportunity that doesn't feel right, or taking time to rest and recharge. Each of these choices reinforces your self-worth and strengthens your relationship with yourself. This practice requires courage. It means facing the discomfort of disappointing others or going against the grain. It involves stepping out of your comfort zone and confronting the fear of judgment or rejection. But each time you choose yourself, you build resilience and confidence. You learn that you are capable of navigating life's challenges and that your happiness doesn't depend on external validation. Choosing yourself also means embracing self-compassion. It's about recognizing that you are human with needs and limitations. You deserve the same kindness and understanding that you offer to others. Self-compassion allows you to let go of perfectionism and the relentless pursuit of approval. It creates a foundation of inner strength and peace, from which you can navigate life with greater ease and authenticity. Choosing yourself first is not about diminishing others, it's about creating a life where you thrive. When you prioritize your well-being, you become a better partner, friend, and contributor to the world around you. You show up with more energy, clarity, and purpose. You live with integrity, honoring the truth of who you are. And in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. Choosing yourself first is not a selfish act. It's the first step toward living a life of authenticity, fulfillment, and true connection. Letting go is one of the most powerful yet challenging acts we face. It requires us to release our grip on the familiar, even when it no longer serves us. We often cling to situations, relationships, and past experiences because they offer a sense of comfort, or because we fear the uncertainty that comes with change. However, holding on to what weighs us down prevents us from growing and moving forward. The power of letting go lies in its ability to free us mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, allowing us to create space for new possibilities and greater fulfillment. Letting go is an act of trust. It's trusting that we can face what's next without the security blanket of the past. It's a recognition that holding on often causes more harm than good. We carry the weight of old resentments, regrets, and disappointments, and this emotional baggage can become a barrier to living fully in the present. When we let go, we release ourselves from the grip of these burdens. We choose freedom over attachment, peace over control. One of the hardest things to let go of is the illusion of control. We hold on tightly to outcomes, believing that if we just try hard enough or worry long enough, we can force things to go our way. But true control is often an illusion. Life is unpredictable, and clinging to the need for certainty only creates stress and frustration. Letting go means accepting that some things are beyond our control and choosing to focus instead on what we can influence: our actions, our attitudes, and our responses. This shift in perspective is liberating. It allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and resilience. Letting go also means releasing our attachment to the past. We replay old conversations, revisit painful memories, and hold on to grudges, believing that doing so protects us from future hurt. But in reality, it keeps us stuck. The past cannot be changed, no matter how much we dwell on it. By letting go, we free ourselves to live more fully in the present. We acknowledge the lessons we've learned and use them to guide us, but we refuse to let them define us. Relationships often present the greatest challenges when it comes to letting go. We hold on to people who may no longer fit in our lives because we fear loneliness or because we've invested so much time and energy into them. However, not all relationships are meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach us, to challenge us, or to help us grow. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve us isn't a failure, it's an act of self-respect. It creates space for connections that are more aligned with who we are and who we are becoming. Letting go is about embracing change and trusting the process of life. It's about recognizing that endings are often necessary for new beginnings. When we let go, we don't lose, we gain. We gain freedom, clarity, and the opportunity to create a life that aligns with our true selves. We open the door to new experiences, relationships, and possibilities. The power of letting go lies in its ability to transform us, helping us shed what no longer serves us so we can step into the fullness of who we are meant to be.